Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. This was kind of an unplanned video this month. Essence dropped new blushes, and while I do not normally purchase the entire ranges of things, I do try to keep a very curated collection. I really wanted to do a cheek swatching video for this launch. I love the brand Essence. They have very good products in just very cheap packaging. So if you don't care about the packaging and you're just after a good product, Essence is a great brand. So I know that a lot of you are probably here for the swatches and not so much for the chattiness. So let's get into the swatches, and I will save my thoughts for the end. So as far as the swatches go, I do have two different lighting scenarios going on. Swatching on the back of my hand, first in a heavy swatch and then in a blended out swatch. That was late in the evening and I had my ring light on. However, all of the cheek swatches is in natural light with no artificial light. Well, I guess my room light is on, but I'm sitting in front of a window. But the cheek swatches have no ring light. So let's begin. The very first shade is shade number 1, called Shimmery Rose. Now this is a very light, soft pink. I do think that this particular shade is most well suited for the very fair to light skin tones. I don't think it will show up on anyone with like medium to deep skin. And it is fairly shimmery. In fact, when I built it up enough to be able to show it on my face, I had quite the highlighted cheek going on. Each one of these shades is different in how much shimmer is in them. So this particular one does not have chunky glitter, but it does have micro sparkles. The second shade is called Pink Flush. This one is a little bit deeper than the first shade, and this one, I think out of all of the shades, has the most sparkles and the largest chunks of sparkle. And the flecks of gold glitter in this one are much larger than in the other shades. This is one I would definitely not use a highlighter while wearing this particular shade. And again, I am building these up in the cheek swatches so you can hopefully see the color a little bit better. And in building it up that much, this was way too intense for me in terms of the gold glitter. This is one that I might personally use as a blush topper, or if you like a very sparkly cheek, this one is for you. Shade number 3 is probably the shade I was most interested in. This is called Goldie. It's either Cassis or Cassis, I'm not sure, but this is more purpley, much more cool toned than any of the other shades in the range. And it does have micro silver sparkle going through this one. Not necessarily something you will see at a distance, but it does give a beautiful glow to the cheek. This was definitely one of my favorite shades. Third shade is called Bold Heart, and this is one that does not have any noticeable shimmer in it at all. However, I would still say it's a satin blush, not a flat matte. And this was strangely wearable. I was a little scared to put it on, but this actually is a beautiful, beautiful bright pink. Created a beautiful flush on my cheeks. This is one that I would reach for in the summer. Again, I was very pleased with how it blended out. It didn't look too flat matte. Shade number 5 is Pretty Peach. This is a true peach, and it has some fairly intense gold shimmer running through it. You don't really look at it when you see it in the pan, but when I was building it up on my cheek, I really got some gold sparkle going on my cheeks, but the sparkle again is very fine, and you don't really see it unless you really build it up on your cheek, which is what I was doing. This is another shade that may be better for very fair to light skin tones. If you try to build it up like I did, you'll get quite the gold shimmer running through it. It was actually very pretty, but definitely not for everyone. Just I want to make sure and reiterate again, this does not have any chunky glitter in it. It's a very fine gold shimmer. Shade number 6 is Rosy Rosewood, and this is another one that is more matte leaning, but again, I would still say it is satin. I don't see any noticeable glitters in it, but it spreads beautifully. This was one of my favorite shades as well. This is I think this is probably one of the shades that most people will gravitate to, because it's not so pink. A little bit more on the cool toned side, a little bit deeper, so it would work for a little bit more skin tones. I'm not sure if it would really work for someone with a deep skin tone, but it definitely goes further than some of those earlier shades that I would say are just for more fair skin tones. Someone with like a medium skin tone could wear this one for sure. Shade number 7 was a big surprise to me. I was not expecting to like this one. This is the shade Cool Coral, and it's the one that I decided to wear today on my cheeks. This is a very youthful shade, and this is another one that has some very fine shimmer going through it, so it creates a beautiful glow on the cheek, but no chunky glitter. Yeah, I really enjoy that one. And then the 8th shade is probably the deepest shade in the range. This shade is called Berry Cheeks, and this is one that has that barely noticeable micro shimmer in it that gives it a beautiful satin look across the skin. This is another one I would recommend for a wider range of skin tones. I think this one would work for a lot of people. At the same time, it's not a super deep berry, so even someone with more fair skin could use it if they used a light hand. Let's talk a little bit about the formula. The formula is very nice and silky when you swatch it. Like, there's no icky, gritty feeling. It feels very nice. It does have quite a bit of kick up when you put your brush in the pan, which is not something that bothers me, but I know that it really drives some people nuts. So I thought I would make sure and mention it. It's very spreadable across the skin. And what all the cheek swatches I did over the Essence Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation, which is kind of like a skin-like finish, so it's not too dewy, not too matte, and I didn't need to set that foundation. So I was putting this over foundation without any sort of powder, and it still spread beautifully. If you are a fan of baked blush, I do not think you'll be disappointed by these. Just be aware of the differences in the amount of sparkle between each shade, because there are some pretty serious differences between the shades and how much glitter or no glitter or sparkle or shimmer is in each shade. Once again, I want to remind everyone it is the shade number 2, Pink Flush, that has the more chunky gold glitter in it, and it's really hard to pick up, but I'm trying to show you that this is the shade. Maybe you can see some of the more goldy, chunky glitter in there. This is the one that I would be the most careful with in terms of glitter. Let's talk about the packaging. It is kind of in that classic drugstore essence where it's just a plastic, the classic compact with the plastic lid. I did feel like my blushes had gone through a journey to get to me, because a lot of the plastic, I don't think you can see on this particular one, it's quite scratched. And even on like the back, there was like big scratches across the sticker and things. So it seems like they had gone through some trauma before they got to me, but happily nothing was broken. On some of them, the writing is already starting to wear off the front. If this is the sort of thing that bothers you, I know it can be really annoying. I thought it'd be something that I would mention. These blushes are very affordable at $5.99. So if you're someone who has always wondered about why people liked baked blushes, like baked blushes, this may be a good formula to try out and see if you like it. I do think it's a nice formula. What do you guys think? Have you tried these blushes? Let me know down in the comment section if you have. Which colors did you get? What did you think of them? I'd be very interested to hear your take on these blushes. And for those of you who usually watch my content and you're like, Shanrell, that's a lot of blush. Don't worry, I'll be giving a lot of these to my friends. I'll be like, blush for you, and you get a blush, and you get a blush. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, you get to hear the tea of the day. Usually I give it at the beginning, but since I knew I might get people who are here just for the swatches, I saved it for the end. I'm tasting a new jasmine green to me. So this is from Choice Organics. This is the jasmine green tea. And so far it's good. I've actually been able to re-steep it as well. I don't think it is the best green tea ever, but I like it because it doesn't seem to be super fussy with temperature. I used it with lower temperature and higher temperature, and it didn't get bitter, which sometimes jasmine teas can. So so far, I like it. I think it's good. All right, thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. My cat's over here licking her paw. I hope you can't hear that. Oh. Thank you guys again so much. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.